Hey everyone, we're going to be going over some of the ISO changes. Remember, I promised you some advanced testing, and so I'm joined here by Valley. We're going to talk about the impact that the ISO's had on your alliance. Is the ISO changes going to be enough? And realistically, are you ready if the things don't get rolled back, and where I think you probably should be working on if you want to start building to the Doom raids? Valley, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I am a little more hopeful than I was last night because of a inspirational message on this by Cerebro.
Yeah, and we just shot that video. We just shot that video over on your channel. So I'm going to have the links in the description below. I want you guys to go check that out. Valley has an awesome a take on it, and it was interesting because a little less salty. I felt like you were definitely the low sodium Valley flying today.
The sodium level went down a little since that message, and some of the other things that we did not discuss, some of the DMs, some of the things on the private Envoy server that we cannot discuss. A little less salty because of those things, but nothing is official yet, so the salt is still there, just less low sodium. The sodium is still there.
Well, don't put the salt shaker down yet, because we're going to talk about some of the things that we've discovered, some of the problems we faced, and so let's start.
Oh my goodness, newly discovered problems. I love it. Let's go. So, let's get the salt level up again. It was reducing. Bring it up for me, brother. What have you discovered about these ISO?
so if you guys aren't doing the Doom raids yet, it's okay. Honestly, progression wise, it is the end game, and building towards the Doom raids are going to help you get the surfer shards in the limited time access that they're in the raid milestones. So it's important, and we're trying to help you build your roster towards that goal. But more importantly, if you're already there, we're going to talk about some of the things in the pitfalls. And so the blog comes out, or the patch comes out, and it drops, and we launched a raid, and so live on the air, I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool that they don't say you need five characters. So I launched a raid. I'm like, all right, got through the mutant node. That wasn't bad. I didn't feel easier, and I'm like, it's all right. Let's move on to the next level, right? So go to the bio lane. I'm like, all right, this wasn't so bad. I have all 5 symbiotes. Go to the skill lane. Go to click enter. I only had, at the time, I only had 3 skill characters. And I'm like, oh man, what's going on? I'm like, it doesn't say you need 5 characters. I'm like, oh, I mean, is this intentional? I mean, imagine you're launching the raid today and you didn't know, because I mean, if you're not watching Twitch, it never said you need 5 characters.
See, I never thought that they would that would be an option. We've never had a raid that you could go with 5 unless there was, and I just always assumed you needed 5. But
no, raids you can go with 1 character if you wanted to. You can go
previous raids you could go with 1 character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess I've never just attempted that. Yeah. So I guess this is major then. I've never. Yeah, this is the guy. I knew you would be informing me in this video. I love it.
Well, so basically, back in the old days, we used to take a SAC team, and sometimes we'd take in like a Deadpool, and he'd absorb a bunch of early debuffs pop up, and sometimes he'd res, and you'd be able to burn a bunch of early like cooldowns or different characters. You could use different SAC teams on some of the strats and some of the other like advanced raids. So so we've used 3 characters in the past, but realistically, it didn't say it. So I take my skill roster and I bring it up, and I'm hesitant because I spent a lot, and I'm going to show you this for the community. I spent a lot of time testing characters, and so one of the things about the raid was you always needed the extra tier 4 to feel like it was safer, that you weren't dying as fast for the ISO 4. So you could see how many characters I built for skill, right? And the problem with that is the number of characters I had at 5 just wasn't there. And so a couple people in my alliance, they brought up characters to be able to do the raid that we were doing, to be able to ISO 5 that they wouldn't plan on using normally. Did you do that at all?
Not yet. No, I've been working on Doom. It took me 3 weeks, and then I finally got Doom, and then we got the raids, and it takes me too long. There's no characters that I could bring up to 5 in any normal amount of time. It takes a lot of planning and a lot of farming for a decent amount of time just to get them from 4 to 5. Yeah. So I personally did not do that.
So less than 24 hours later, it was unintentional. We launched a new raid, and I can bring in, you know, 1 character if you have it at 5, or 4 characters, or even 5 if you have ISO 5. So a couple of people, and I'm not sure who's been impacted, let me know in the comments here. I'm kind of curious. Were impulsed to do the ISO upgrades, and so
how many people had all that stuff just laying around that they could just bring it up though? I'm starved for all this green ISO 8 gear and crystals and ions that I don't have that choice. I can't do that. How many people are able to do that?
Well, I'll tell you, probably all the people who did, who had them did, and who did regret it. Let me know in the comments. But anyway, that's the answer, right? Oof.
Yeah.
But did they plan that? Oh God, it's hard.
Nice move, Scopely.
Yeah, good, nice move, Scopely. You got us. Anyway, so moving on, we're going to talk about some of the characters. So obviously, I started playing around. I bought the early offers for ISO Blue, and so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what it looks like, and we'll talk a little bit about, like, you know, kind of where I'm leading. So I don't know if you've heard my philosophy on this. So ISO Blue is not a damage boost as much as you're seeing like health and other effects. So the health is outpacing damage. And so one of the things about it is there's some nuanced stuff that happens here. So real quickly, we'll talk about that, right? So if you look at Striker, they're gonna be doing damage based on their health level. Okay, so on primary hit, the target is vulnerable duration at 2+, which is being applied at skirmisher level 2. Okay. Deal 5% of this character's max health to the primary target. So a character like Doom with primary health is a pretty ignore what I've done there, because you guys will see the hot mess I made of the testing. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Sometimes science goes badly. But I mean. So I think that health is going to be the big thing we're talking about, and I think some of the mechanics we're seeing going forward, we want to think about the high health characters and why certain effects are going to be important. So have you so you've done a couple of Doom raids. Have you thought about who you're going to ISO 5 first?
ISO 5 first? Well, I'm working on Minerva. I'm working on Minerva first.
ISO Blue. Jeez, I can't even get it right. I can't.
I'm not doing. Honestly, I'm not doing any of these right now.
And
I haven't opened any of my orbs from the Doom. I'm not doing any of this stuff right now, because right now there's no characters that need this for any content in the game. So I'm gonna wait. I'll let you do the experimentation and figure this stuff out, and let you tell me what is the best one.
And I think that's the right answer, because the problem with that is we really haven't seen anything emerge. And so I think I was talking to you earlier, and so my concern was, I honestly thought the slider was going to be, you know, like
what? You did mention this to me. I didn't notice this.
So I was like,
5 levels of Ultimus, right? How many levels of Doom do we have?
Right, and so like I was like
Where's the slider? Where's the slider?
What's going on with this? Why can't I like
this big feature that they were talking about, the slider? Where is it?
Yeah, so it's like there's a 1.1 raid, and so so we got 2 raids.
That's it.
And it's a massive amount of like, it's so much higher than it's been before. 75% damage bonus on this stuff, and so, you know, here's the problem, right? And so we probably don't have the characters in the game that are gonna help us here. So I'm gonna talk about like. You know, we'll theorycraft that in a minute here, but let's talk about a couple of things I want to warn you guys about. If you guys are bringing up your characters and you want to start ISO blowing the characters, be careful. There's somebody you're going to want to use. Bishop, obviously, a part of my raid team. He's actually part of my my theory crafting team, because of the fact that they have so many different ways to beat teams, and the fact that the 3-piece combo can pretty much force additional team members. I think their longevity is there to stay, and so I kind of lean into that. So I had to use Dr. Tomb, because he was the only character that I had brought up multiple level 5 ISOs, and we're going to talk about this for a second. So let's say you make that long trek via ions all the way up to level 5 on multiple things, because, you know, they want us to test stuff. Do you test stuff? I mean, do you actually like test stuff with your, how many times have you changed the
few class? But 0 since they made this announcement a couple weeks ago. I used it. It was a fun thing that I could experiment with, but it's ISO 8. All the fun and luster of ISO 8 is gone ever since that announcement a few weeks ago that now they're requiring it for certain content.
Yeah.
The fun is gone. The fun is gone.
Yeah, and so that's literally the problem we have is there's no agency, right? We talked about that a long time ago. It's why the whole, Save SF movement started.
Wasn't that why this was introduced, to give us some control over our roster, to give us some experimentation that we could do with these characters? But as soon as it's gone. It's nothing.
There's actually a word for that.
Lie.
No,
lying.
No, when you take something that somebody else really wants from them.
Stealing.
It's called yoink.
Theft.
Yoink.
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 Oh. The yoinkers. All right.
It's the official word for it. Anyway, yoink. Here we go. So let's talk about this, guys. So you're going to see like something I never recommend doing. I accidentally clicked on this one twice and wound up double equipping the controller. And I didn't want to quit the controller on Doom, but I figure he is a character that I'm going to be testing. So I wasn't the person to do Doom. We'll get some feedback on that later on. But right. So take a look. You'll see that the cost to fuse on here, 17.5k ions, not terrible to bring up to 3, but it's about what we've seen in previous versions. And you can see it has a window to show you what's happening. There's a little more interaction here. Now the problem with that becomes this. So what happens if I want to upgrade my healer? So this is why it's important to kind of sit on this until we kind of do the science on it. Because when I select healer and I want to bring it up, and my head's in the way, but I'll move myself really quickly. 40,000.
Ooh, what the heck?
Bring level 2, 80,000. Level 3, 150,000. So if you make that mistake and you choose the wrong class,
no experimentation anymore.
Yeah, it's too much in flux. And
get commanders.
We started this whole thing with the beeping. All right, that's good. I love it. But literally,
we're talking about ISO. The message gave me hope from Cerebral, but we're talking about ISO 8, how it is right now. You Scopely.
Yeah, it really. So one of my concerns is the acquisition rate. It feels kind of like we're going to start seeing. If you're the number one through 5 alliances doing 100% Doom, you're getting a decent amount of ISOs to bring up. You're going to see a lot of ISO 3s popping up out there.
Wait. What about the non-top 5 alliances?
And that's the problem, right? And so we have, and so there it is, right? There's the problem. So now that whole thing where we sat down with Jason Bender, what did he say to us? He wanted to do what? Bring the night. Yeah, go ahead, say it.
He wanted more catch-up mechanics. He wanted a lot of stuff. What are you referring to? The catch-up mechanics came into my head.
Yeah, and then he said like bringing up like 90% of the player base so that they're getting closer and closer to the top.
Lies.
I to be fair, I don't think they understood that they didn't get. I don't think they play the game the way that we do. I don't.
They do not. They play it on a limited basis. They test out characters. And why would they? They spend 8 hours a day on this game. Why would they play it like us? Why would they play it like us? So they don't know the problem. So this is why they need community feedback before they implement some stupid changes like ISO 8.
So yeah, so as far as feedback goes, listen, I'll be honest with you. The envoys have all been your advocates, and we'll talk about the hope with Cerebro. Again, go back and check out Valley's video. There's definitely some good stuff on there. This doesn't feel great, and so there's just a lot of testing left to be done. Some of the new effects are interesting. We're gonna have to do some timing effects because that was an issue that was happening in the actual test server, was the amount of animation time that was doing delay. So I've actually got to go in there and actually analyze that. So it's very important that unless you feel you need to, don't do the EPing ISOs. Try not to.
So the big takeaway is don't upgrade anybody to ISO 8 Blue because you don't need it. Let RemanX do the testing, watch his videos, and when you're ready to take up a character, check out what RemanX did, because he's gonna do all the testing for us, so you don't have to spend money on this crap.
Yeah, and
that's kind of my takeaway. Is that what you're trying?
Yeah, I mean, so let me ask you this question: what teams do you how are you gonna prioritize it? Arena, raid? Give me kind of how you're gonna prioritize.
This is how I always go. Arena.
Okay.
Right now, my arena is solid. I could beat whatever team out there in arena, so I don't need to work on arena. Next is raid. Right now, I'm not able to do what I want, what I used to do a few days ago in the raids because I don't know. My characters aren't eligible anymore. So right now it's tech. I'm working on my next tech character so I could get through that easier. I got 4 for mystic, and then once I'm try those mystics, then I'll be working my mutants because I'm on that far left lane where it goes bio, then skill, then tech, then mystic, then so I'm prioritizing my characters in that order.
Yeah,
That's what I'm working on.
And so that's actually
ISO 8 right now.
Yeah, so probably if you're gonna get Adam Warlock and the Dynamo team that's coming to the game right now, I think the problem is ISO is gonna have a big impact on that. So we're theory crafting that. Check it out. I'll have some more videos coming up. Anyway, Valley, it's awesome having you here. If you guys make sure you guys
It's awesome being here.
Make sure you guys stay for the end of Valley's video. There's some fun stuff in there. Let us know what you guys think about it. We forgot to turn off the audio. Well, you know,
We didn't forget. I didn't forget. We left it on purpose.
And so, by the way, guys, we're going to be covering Marvel Future Revolution here because the revolution is upon us and it's time for the future. And the next Marvel game is super hype, and Valley and I are both super hype on it. I'll check you guys soon.
Video on both channels later today, guys.
Later!